Hey guys, so today I have a very fun video. You read the title, you know what it is. Today I'm going to show you how to cosplay as Dryad Soraka. I know that my costume isn't perfect and that there are people who have done this, 1,000 times better than I have, but I've yet to see a comprehensive guide. And I did get quite a bit of comments and questions at HOOVES asking, how I made some of the things, how I constructed some of the things in my costume. So I have some idea that this may be helpful for some of you. There's a lot of things, just to preface too, that I will be fixing that I'm not the biggest fan of. So I'm learning. This is my first very serious costume and I'm going to get better as I continue going. But as of right now, I'm pretty happy with the costume where it's at. I'm just excited to show you guys how I did it and everything. So let's do this. Do you like my Poro hat I got at the convention? I just thought, she needed a head, so. I learned how to do a lot of things with this costume for the first time that I'd never done before. Resin casting gems, I casted all of these. I made my own molds for the ones on the bottom or on the belt, and I soldered for the first time. But we'll get into all of that. I guess cosmetic-wise, we can start with that too. I reviewed these contact lenses previously, and I do like them. They're comfortable. They're nearing the end of their cycle, so I'm gonna have to throw them out, but I'm gonna wear them one last time for this video today, and I will link these contacts down in the description below, as well as point to the review that I have of them. My horn I made of Warbler. I started out with one of those planner base foam things and shaved it down to the shape that I wanted, and then I wrapped it with Warbler, primed it with gesso, and spray painted it with the same spray paint that I used for my staff. This wig you guys have also seen before. I did a review of it. It is from Art of Wigs. It is their, I'll write it right here. I'm going blank right now. The Dryad Candy Striper wig. Yes, and it came curly and wavy, but this is a heat resistant wig, so I did go in with a flat iron. On my lowest setting, I have a flat iron that I can change the heat on, and watched anime while I got that done, but it did take quite a while to get the whole thing flat ironed, but I love it. For the top part of her costume, this bit here was trial and error. I think I remade it twice before I got it how I really wanted it, and I'm still going to go in and re-add this trim to all these other areas because I think it looks better. I know a lot of people don't put it there, but I just think it would look a little nicer. So I'm going to go back in eventually and mess with all of that as well. But for the costume, my hair was coming down here. You really couldn't see it, but it would just make me happy to have it. So I'm going to go in and fix it. I just took, I believe, a small jacket that I had and kind of like traced the pattern and then cut everything out and sewed it and put it on and brought it in more and put it on and brought it in more until I had it where I wanted it. Always start with more fabric and trim down to less as you see fit. This camera's focus is going to be the death of me, I swear. Okay, for the little shoulder pads, I took thin craft foam, and I'll put exactly what millimeter somewhere, but just the kind that you can buy at the craft store, or even in like the kids section. And I took fabric glue. I used that to adhere the fabric to the craft foam, and then I sewed over. I took a iron and kind of went over it and bent it, and the craft foam is going to retain whatever shape you mold it into. So just had them come up a little bit on the edges and just look a little nicer. I found this fabric. This was pretty simple. There's just like a crude hole here. This isn't sewn really well or anything because you don't see it, and I didn't really see the point in giving myself extra unnecessary work, but if you are OCD, like I can be sometimes, then you might want to go in and do it that way. These are two separate pieces here. This is literally just some of the fabric cut out and then tied in the back. And I still had a little problem with it moving around, so I suggest like fashion tape or maybe another solution I hadn't thought of. You might get more creative with this than I did, but it really is just to cover the girls up. So it worked well enough for me. I'll just get fashion tape next time and it should solve my problem. For this next bit, I had to back her up a little bit so you guys could see, but I just crudely looked at how this was gonna drape, cut a hole out in the center, and then cut some long pieces of fabric and just continued to trim them until I got the aesthetic that I wanted. I just hemmed the edges and ironed everything out, and it did exactly what I needed it to. This middle part, obviously, pretty simple. It just Velcros in the back. Pretty basic, easy. For the cape, I've seen people do some edgier things. Shopee did a really great Soraka. She made hers like weathered and torn. And I may go in and mess with that and do that as well, but for now this looks just fine to me. Rectangular piece of fabric, kind of bunched it at the shoulders where I made this and sewed over it. Everything's all hemmed, obviously, and ironed. And this is faux leather, by the way. This is just fabric that's been made to look like leather. It's a lot cheaper for somebody who's on a budget, and I just don't personally need to kill an animal for their skin. So that was just my personal choice. If you want to do actual leather, it will probably look better, but that's really just up to you. If you are on a budget like I am, this works perfectly fine, and I think it looks good. So when it came to fastening this front piece, this all just kind of slides out, and I haven't figured out a better way of holding this in here. It just honestly sits between, you know, the girls here and kind of hangs there. And I have a couple pieces of Velcro, the sticky round Velcro, and here on my body this all comes together easily. This mannequin's a little larger than I am, and I just simply safety pinned this together and slid this down, and it sat on the Velcro perfectly, and that just stayed all day. I was surprised because this gem was a bit heavy, but maybe this tying everything down helped. When I did solder all of this together, I just took electrical tape afterwards and wrapped it around. Also, if anyone has recommendations on how to sew a perfect circle, you can see mine's pretty shoddy. It's not my favorite part of the costume, and I may revisit it and mess with it a little bit more, rip this off and put the gem into a new circle. I'm happy with it for now. Next was quite possibly the most challenging part of the costume for me, these belts. I remade the belts twice. The base is a craft foam, which I have footage of and I'll show here. I used fabric glue the same way that I did for the little shoulder pad armor spiky thing, and then sewed over the pieces of craft foam with the fabric on top, which you can do with any sewing machine. I made 2 of those, and at first they were all one piece of craft foam, one piece of fabric, and I realized I couldn't get them to sit on my hips exactly how I would like them to. So I problem solved and thought it wasn't going to turn out anyway how I wanted it to. And what I ended up doing was taking another piece of fabric, this is just fabric in the center, no craft foam, and just adding this little bit of give. That way this could move around a little bit in the back. It would be covered by the cape, and I could make the belt sit how I wanted to. They do look a little crude in the back. It's not, you know, the prettiest thing ever. So for the most fun, eye-catching part of the costume, we have the LEDs. I resin casted the gems myself with polyester casting resin from Casting Craft. And I had a mold for the chest piece. I remade the chest piece twice. I didn't like my original mold and went ahead and got another one made. And then for the belt, I had to problem solve because I couldn't find anything in the size exactly that I wanted. Everything was too small or too big. So I made my own molds. I can't remember the name of that product, but I will post it in the description down below. The description down below will have a full list of everything that I used to make this costume. All the tools, everything. While I was casting the gems, when you're pouring in the catalyst, I poured in the dye and mixed everything up very quickly. Everything was measured with a food scale. Poured it into the molds, and then about 15 minutes in, 10-15 minutes, come earlier, you know, better safe than sorry, I tested the tackiness with a knife or a toothpick, and when I saw that it was at a good place to put in the LED to where the LED would stand up and not fall over, I put in those pre-soldered LEDs, because the first time I made the gems, I put in the wrong, I mixed up my LEDs and put in blinking LEDs. So I got pressed for time and ordered some pre-soldered LEDs off of Amazon. So when those arrived, I stuck them in, recast the gems, and I quite like how they came out. The belt ones look more organic, you know, they're not a perfect round shape, and I actually quite like that. Soldering was a bit scary for me because I still did have to solder some of the connections, and I do have video of that. And then I simply just hot glued everything to the belt and pressed it down. So there are live wires just pressing up against my skin, and I am going to go back in with this brown fabric and kind of cover everything up. And the battery pack can sit in the side or sit in front. I had it sit close to the front here, and it was just pressed there against my body and the belts. This bit is the least favorite part of my costume, this round piece in the front. I had a hard time figuring out how to connect all of this here as well. And then I use snaps for these parts of the belt, which I do have footage of. I took a round, you know the respirators that got the little things on the side? I took one of those round respirators and sewed brown felt around it and then the fabric over it and hand sewed everything because it was too hard to put underneath the sewing machine, and then took a simple piece of the brown fabric, and I still just have pins in here, but I'm going to go in and hand sew. But these were effective and they haven't budged or moved at all, and they don't go up against my skin, so I didn't have to worry about anything poking me. They just Velcro in the back there, so you can kind of adjust it and get it to exactly how you want it to look. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions on how I can paint this more even, get it to be more perfect. One part I did miss, or two parts that I missed on the accessories bit, for the bracers. When I casted these gems, their color isn't exactly the same because I ended up getting a different dye. May remake these bracers. It doesn't bother me so much. I don't think it's too noticeable, but I put the 3 there, put some glue around it, painted the glue to kind of make it blend in with the fabric again. This is also craft foam at its base that I ironed and then molded around my hand. I always forget what these are, but you can buy them at any craft store, and then I hammered them in on the back sides. Same thing, fabric glue over the craft foam. I didn't sew anything here, but you probably could if you wanted to. Everything's held together really well considering how simply these were put together. And then I just got some faux leather fabric bandy things, strings, ropes. They look okay. They're not my favorite part of the costume, but you know, they work. The other accessory that I'm not wearing right now because I am going out to Asian market after this are the ears, and spirit glue does stick quite a bit, so I just didn't want to mess with all of that today. The company that I bought the ears from is called Aradani Studios, and you can just Google that. I'll have the link below. I wasn't going to try and make my own warbler ears or anything like that, so I did just buy them, and they do look really good. You can just look up anime elf ears as well, and that'll pop up, but the tone isn't perfect to my skin color. Don't mind them. The tone of the ears doesn't exactly match my ear color or my skin tone, but they only had 3 options. You can paint them yourself if you want. They do have that option there. So if you're very meticulous and you want it to 100% match, you're welcome to do that as well. But they did a really good job pre-painting these, and they do feel and look like skin, so they're pretty neat. I'll make another video showing you how to put these on and how to mess with them with your wig. Right now I just wanted to show you and link it for you so you have that. But they do stay on really, really well. I had no problems with them budging. Once you put the spirit glue on, you can kind of hit them and bat them and whatever. I accidentally batted into a bunch of people with my horn and my staff and all kinds of stuff. So yeah. For my legs, for the hooves and the furry boot cover things, I actually just went ahead and bought these. They don't match the costume perfectly, but I don't really feel like that's a negative. Looking back, I may have bought a green darker than the rest of my costume, but I still like them just alright. You can purchase these on Amazon, and I'll link them down below. They also have them on eBay or in, you know, dance stores. So I took brown fabric and I made some crude leg wraps that I can show you how I put on the costume here. And I made about 4 of these, yeah, 4, and just wrapped them around the back and tied them, and they held up really well, and not too worried about them. If you want to be real meticulous and perfect, you can go in and hem each side and make them look really nice, but you can see on mine, it doesn't want to stop focusing on me, but you can see on mine that they have some crude edges, but I don't think they were very noticeable, and I don't know that I plan on going in and being OCD about that. So if you want to and have it, you know, you want to make it perfect, you're more than welcome to. On to the shoes. For the shoes, I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I took some old white wedges that I have some video of making them here, and I took Warbler and put it over. Warbler's expensive, yes, but it's hard, and it worked really well for me. I know there's other ways of making your foam hard, and in the future I will learn those just to save money, but for the sake of time, and I did have extra Warbler on hand, I just made some Warbler hooves and attached them to the front, and they held up pretty well. The shoes were not very comfortable, I will say that. If you're at a convention, you want comfortable shoes, you can buy the shoes that have the no heel, but I think that's just another level of discomfort that I don't want to deal with at a convention. But if you're one of those people who can wear heels all day, power to you, and you know you can feel not uncomfortable, then you could take those strings and kind of wrap everything up with the fur, and it would look a lot better. It would look like genuine hooves, but this worked for me. I'm happy with them. Yeah. So onto the prop. This is not my most favorite or professional looking prop, that's for dang sure, but I did my best. I ended up trying so hard to make it work that it got really heavy, very heavy, and so during the convention I had a hard time with it. For this I started out with a base. I went and looked up Kamui Cosplay and I got expanding foam. I made a big moon thing, shaved it down with a box cutter, razor cutter, or whatever, and I made a little one of these at the same time, this little middle piece at the same time, and I paper mache, gessoed, wood filler, gesso, Mod Podge, gesso, trying to get everything smooth, and I see you guys, I still couldn't get everything perfect, and it ended up just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So this would be the #1 recommendation I have for anyone else going to do this costume, to really research how to make your prop first, and you don't want to have to deal with a heavy prop all day. As far as the rest of the staff goes, I used craft foam that I heated and molded for this part again. It's very crude and not perfect looking. You can see all the details where I messed up here. I may remake the staff before I go to another convention, but it looks okay. It's alright. For this part, I just took pieces of craft foam and cardboard and just cut out some basic shapes and hot glued them. Same for these little areas here and here, and I just stabbed it. And then I took some of the same fabric that I used for the rest of my costume and just crudely hot glued that around the center part. Balls in your face. For the ball end, here's another piece of craft foam, and then I found a little toy, like smiley face ball at Walmart. I was trying to use a lot of other circular things, but they were just not working, and I knew they were gonna break by the end of the convention. It used to be all the way rounded on the end, but I think just from, you know, using it, it got flat, but it looks fine. And it's just a rubber, hard plastic toy that I gessoed, spray painted, and primed and painted with a little acrylic paint that I got from the craft store. So that's the simple staff for you. The base of it is PVC pipe that you can buy at Home Depot. It's really cheap and inexpensive, and I just primed, spray painted, and top coated that as well. These little gems are I also resin casted myself. They're not perfect either. The staff's not my favorite thing. It may take the least favorite part of the costume spot for me, but I did my best. I'm learning. If you have any questions about how I made other parts of the costume, if I wasn't thorough enough, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, comments, concerns you have about it. I know making a new costume is really hard, and you run into all these issues that you thought would be simple things just looking at the character. So I'd be more than happy to help anybody out who's trying to make a costume like this. That's it for today, guys. I hope that this was helpful for any of you who are trying to make a Soraka costume. If you found this helpful at all, please hit that like button down below. And if you'd like, hit subscribe. I post new videos every Sunday. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye!